if you hadn't before, by now you should have a good idea of how important applying a microsegmentation strategy is to any network. It's becoming more and more a necessity as opposed to an option. Yoni Geva, if I pronounced that correctly, he's a product manager of Algoseg. He will show us, using a demo, how both these solutions from Algoseg and Guardicore work together in tandem to deploy, manage, protect, and detect a microsegmentation strategy. So, Yoni, please take it away.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Great. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Yeah.
Great, great. So hi, everybody. My name is Yoni Geva. I'm a product manager at Algoseg. So today we're going to talk about actually how are we implementing this integration between these two great systems, and Guardicore and Algoseg. And I'll say that I think that Algoseg and Guardicore are coming to solve the same problem and just using different tactics. Guardicore are integrating with the workloads, with their agent, and in Algoseg, our agnostic way is to the interfaces that we have with the filtering systems, the firewall, SDN, and cloud. Okay, so today we're going to talk about how are we using Guardicore as a discovery system. And once we understand the granular policies in Guardicore, how are we using Algoseg in order to deploy these policies on our entire security estate. So in this slide, you can see that we are using Guardicore as a discovery system. And with this discovery system, when we identify these granular connectivities between the workloads, we are aggregating all this information in a product that we call AppViz. So this is a repository that was built and was designed specifically for holding entire connectivities of a specific business. Okay, so we have different applications there, mostly critical applications. And for each applications, we are holding the relevant flows. Okay, and if you remember, as Avishai mentioned in the previous session, in Guardicore, you will find very granular connectivity between IP addresses mostly. And once we import this information into AppViz, we are creating this wide flow, this wider flows, which are usually from subnets or from group and not necessarily from specific IP addresses. We are building the flows that will eventually be ready to be pushed into the security systems, okay? So after we finish aggregating the data for every specific application, we're using our change management system, which we call Fireflow. And with Fireflow, we are automatically pushing these policies into the entire security estate, okay? And this is a circular flow. Okay, so whenever things are changing in the real network, we are automatically changing them in our repository. And from there, we are making changes also in the network. As you can see in this hybrid environment, we are treating east-west, north-south, and pretty much the same since our applications can be hybrid, can be in the cloud, in the on-prem, and we want to filter it as much as possible. So we are actually utilizing every filtering capability which is available for us. So I think that there is a lot of synergy between the systems. And now I want to show you how it looks in the real life. Okay, so we'll start with the Guardicore side. Okay, I'll let my colleague Thibault from Guardicore to start sharing the screen, and let's see how the flow starts from Guardicore, and then we'll move into Algosec and we push the policies into the devices. Thank you.
Thank you, Yoni. So good morning, everyone. So my name is Thibault. I'm a senior security engineer with Guardicore. This is exciting for me to be here today presenting with OCD and AlgoSec, because I used to be a OCD employee for over 10 years. So really nice to be with you today. So yeah, I'm going to bring to life what Yoni described and Yuval before him here with a Guardicore demonstration. And I'm starting here with the discovery map, which was mentioned before. So, you have to start somewhere. And this is where we start with a Guardicore projects. And in any projects, starting from a greenfield environment, there's absolutely no Guardicore whatsoever. It takes less than an hour to start seeing these sort of maps where you see your different servers talking to each other. So in blue, these are your servers. In gray, these are your network connections with the port being indicated. So these maps are created automatically. There's already loads of information we'll be able to leverage to start building the policies. But something that is already very important for us here at Guardicore is the fact that you're able to focus on anything, but what we are able to show in the discovery process is not only the IP addresses, the ports, but also what kind of applications are generating these connections. So it's not just a connection on port 80 between two servers, it's actually a Google Chrome being used by Andy and Doug that creates a connection to an Nginx server sitting on a load balancer on the billing application. So it's this kind of data we gather automatically because the solution is actually deployed directly onto each server. So there's the Guardicore software installed on each server that is going to track all these connections east-west, north-south. So this is the discovery map. As Yuval mentioned before, this is a good start, but it gets very crowded very quickly. So we can't really work with these sort of maps when we want to really build a security strategy. So instead, what we are going to work with, the same data, but we're going to use this labeling map, this labeled map, sorry. We call it label, Gartner call it identity. So instead of working with the servers themselves, we work based on what are they doing? How do they matter to the business? And here, the map I show you is drawn around the environment, which is something that is very commonly used by our customers. Could be you want to show it based on where your assets are located. Is it on-prem? Is it cloud? Is it legacy? Here, I chose to choose one based on environment, which is a very high-level view. I know we're talking micro-segmentation, but it's sometimes we need to go macro level, not only micro. And you're able to drill in in any places. So if I want to understand how my production works, I can open it and I can see I have 3 applications running there. Something very common is we would want to focus on specific use cases. Maybe I want to secure my billing app because my billing app is critical to my business. So you can start wherever you want in your security journey. Very commonly, customers, they start by securing one of their critical applications. So what you can simply do is filter on this billing app, which will automatically remove all the noise around it, all other applications. You don't need to see that. So you just want to see what this billing application is doing. And immediately, what you get from the map is the application dependency mapping. So this is extremely important because you need to be able to visualize what the application is doing, how it interacts with the rest of the environment to be able to secure it. So you can see where your users are coming from the gem box. You can see the dependencies, like internal dependency, like your domain controller. And you can also see your internet dependencies. If there are some, you'd be surprised as to how many there usually are. You can see all these internet north-south traffic as well being shown on the map. This is very easy with Guardicore, but if you were to do it manually using like Excel spreadsheets or logs, it would take months, if not years, just to map single applications. So this is for the visibility part. And then moving on to how do you secure it? How do you use this data to secure it? We have templates that you can use to automatically create policies. So we work on use cases. So here on my system, I have 3 different applications I worked on securing. If I open my billing one, you can see that it's loading right now. The system actually suggests policies automatically for you on the left side. And it shows you what is going to be the impact of these policies on your network. So the map on the right side is very similar to the one before, with a big difference, which is that all these lines are now colored in green, orange, or red, showing you what is going to be the impact of these policies on the left when you click the publish button. So when they become the active policy, are you going to break something? You know, that's usually the big question you want to answer. Am I going to break something? Am I going to get tickets from users or from management telling me I broke something? So in terms of policy on the left side, so they are suggested automatically based on historical data, but you still have the freedom to change them if you think they should be done otherwise. They are suggested, but they are not forced down onto you. So this is here a whitelist model, meaning that the system is only going to allow what needs to be allowed. So it's on a least privileged methodology, or zero trust, as everyone's using these buzzwords nowadays. And everything that needs to be allowed is listed first, and everything at the end, the 2 last policies, are effectively what is going to create this segmentation. So everything that is not explicitly allowed will be blocked. You are able to start creating your policy with an alert instead, not a block, which will allow you, to monitor if the policy you created in the first place is correct, and work towards this goal of not breaking anything. And all right, yeah, that's it. So you first start in alerting mode and then blocking mode. So this is how basically the workflow with Guardicore. You discover the environment, you add the identity, which can be generated automatically, and then you let the system suggest policy. You let it run in alerting mode. When you're happy, you switch to blocking mode. All these policies that you see here, they can be automatically synchronized with Algoseg. So we've got here an Algoseg policy exporter plugin, and you can actually see that it's automatically synchronizing the labels, the identity, and the flows to Algoseg whenever you publish some of these policies here. So if I take, for example, the first one, which is from Jumpbox to billing on port TCP22, and move into Algoseg, AppViz, you can actually see here, this is exactly the same policy. And if I take, again, the same policy, just to show it's actually the same one, the first one is also from the Jumpbox to the application billing on TCP22. It's going to be perfectly synchronized with the same IPs. So I'm going to let Yoni take over from here and explain the rest of the demo.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So we will continue. Okay. Let me share my screen again. Okay. So as was mentioned before, we identified and discovered the flows and the traffic from Guardicore, and now the application are in the AppViz repository. Okay, so these are the flows. These are the actual flows that were found by Guardicore. If there is a need, we are optimizing the flows. Okay, so if, like Avishai mentioned, if you have thousands of flow for your application, you can use this stage in order to go from IP to IP to a subnet or CIDRs. So we are preparing the flows in a way that they will be ready to be pushed into firewalls, SDN, or cloud filtering services. So in this product, in AppViz, you can see the entire flows.
Yoni,
Other stuff that you can
apologies
do-
for interrupting, but I've just been signaled that there's very little time left in this session, so could you please wrap it up?
Yeah, I will. So with this application, with this AppViz application, you can view the entire application. Okay. In this application, there are no risk and vulnerabilities, but it's possible to identify vulnerabilities coming from security scanners and risks to identify if some of the flows are not aligned with your corporate policy. And eventually, with the click of a button, you can push these policies to the entire security estate, to SDN, cloud, or just on-prem firewalls. So we covered the entire flow from discovery in Guardicore until pushing these policies with one button into the filtering systems. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Yoni, for showing us how Algosec and Guardicore solutions work together to provide a seamless experience when defining and enforcing network traffic policies.